The U.S. Valiant moved slowly through the darkness of space. Its metal hull gleamed under the distant stars. The massive battleship was Earth's pride, the most advanced warship humans had ever built. Captain Samuel Wright sat in his command chair on the bridge. He looked at the main screen that showed empty space ahead. His fingers tapped lightly on the armrest. Something felt wrong today. "Captain, you look worried," said Lieutenant Olivia Martinez as she approached. She was the second in command and had worked with Wright for 5 years. "Just a feeling," Olivia, Wright said. "The reports about this sector trouble me. 3 trading ships claimed they saw unusual light patterns last week." Martinez nodded. "Security patrols found nothing, but I increased our sensor range just in case." The bridge was quiet. The crew worked at their stations, checking systems and monitoring space around them. The Valiant was patrolling the edge of human space, far from Earth and its busy colonies. Science Officer Eric Lawson suddenly straightened in his chair. His hands moved quickly across his control panel. "Captain, I'm detecting something," Lawson said. His voice was calm but tight. "Unknown vessel approaching from Sector 227. It's moving fast." Wright stood up. "Show me." The main screen changed. A strange ship appeared. It looked nothing like human designs. It was sleek, with curved lines that seemed to flow like water. It glowed with a faint blue light. "No match in our database," Martinez said as she checked her screen. "Definitely not human." The bridge grew tense. This was humanity's first clear sign of intelligent alien life. "Try to contact them," Wright ordered. Standard greeting protocols. Communications Officer Gregory Patel sent the message, but there was no response. "They're slowing down," Lawson reported, now holding position at 50,000 kilometers. Wright studied the alien vessel. It was smaller than the Valiant, but somehow looked more advanced. "They're scanning us," Lawson suddenly announced. His face showed surprise. "This is no ordinary scan, Captain. It's penetrating all our shielding." Throughout the ship, crew members noticed strange things happening. Lights flickered. Computer screens showed random data. The ship's systems seemed confused. In engineering, Chief Engineer Diane Powell watched power levels rise and fall with no explanation. "What's happening?" she shouted to her team as they rushed to stabilize the systems. "Block that scan." "We can't," a young engineer replied. "It's like nothing we've seen before. It's reading everything. Weapons, engines, even the personal files in our computers." Back on the bridge, Wright stood firm. "Raise shields. Arm weapons as a precaution." "Shields responding sluggishly," Martinez reported. "The scan is interfering with our systems." For 3 tense minutes, the alien ship continued its deep scan of the Valiant. Every deck, every system, every piece of technology was examined by the unknown visitors. Then, as suddenly as it began, the scan stopped. "They're moving again," Lawson said. His voice showed his confusion. "They've changed course, moving away at high speed." The alien ship turned smoothly and accelerated. In seconds, it was just a small dot on their screens. "Sir," Patel called out, "I intercepted fragments of their transmission. They sent a message to somewhere deep in unexplored space." "What did it say?" Wright asked. Patel looked troubled. "It's broken, but I made out a few words in their language. Our computer translated them as danger, unexpected, and warning." The bridge went quiet. Everyone understood what this meant. "They were afraid of us," Martinez said softly. Wright nodded and returned to his chair. "Send a full report to Earth Command. Include everything we recorded about their ship and that scan." He looked at the now empty screen where the alien ship had been. "Something tells me we'll see them again," Wright said. "And next time, they won't come alone." Commander Zach stared at the data screens that filled the bridge of his scout ship. His four-fingered hands trembled slightly. Around him, other Xelrathi officers worked in silence, their scaled skin reflecting the blue lights of the ship's interior. "Is this correct?" Zach asked. His voice was low and controlled, but everyone heard the worry in it. Security Chief Vilera nodded. Her crest of spines rose with tension. The scan was complete. The data is accurate. The Celerathi scout ship raced away from the human vessel at maximum speed. For centuries, the Celerathi Dominion had ruled their part of the galaxy. Their technology was unmatched. Their military was feared. They had conquered 12 species with little effort. But what they found on the human ship troubled them deeply. Display the weapons analysis again, Zakth ordered. A new image appeared. It showed the detailed scan of the human battleship's weapon systems. Their main cannons are more powerful than our tactical models predicted, Vilera said. She pointed to the numbers. And they have 3 backup firing systems. If the main system fails, they can still fight. Zakth moved to another screen. Their hull design makes no sense. Look at these compartments. They can seal off sections of the ship if they're damaged. Inefficient, said Science Officer Kelvor. Our ships maximize space usage. Yes, but their ship can take severe damage and still function, Vilera argued. Our vessels are more advanced, but one critical hit can disable us. The officers fell silent as they considered this. The Celerathi built their ships to be perfect, elegant, advanced. They never considered designing for failure. What troubles me most is this, Zakth said as he displayed another image. It showed the engine room of the human vessel. Manual controls, Vilera observed. Actual physical switches and levers. Primitive, Kelvor said. No, Zakth corrected him. Deliberate. Their computer systems are advanced, yet they keep manual options. They can operate their ship even if all their technology fails. The Celerathi looked at one another. Their own ships were fully automated. Without their computers, they were useless. These humans designed for war, Zakth finally said. Not just for efficiency, not just for technology, but for survival under the worst conditions. Kelvor studied another screen. Their crew quarters are Spartan. Their medical facilities extensive. They have weapons built into the walls of their corridors. It's as if they expect to be boarded, Vilera finished. As if they plan for every system to fail, and still they prepare to fight on. Zakth turned to his communications officer. Send our findings to High Command immediately. Mark it urgent. As the ship rushed through space, the message traveled faster, reaching the Celerathi homeworld within hours. In the Grand Chamber of the High Command, Fleet Admiral Krizex reviewed the data with growing concern. Other admirals and political leaders gathered around. Could this be an error? Asked one elderly leader. No, Krizex said firmly. Our scans are perfect. These humans are dangerous, not because they are more advanced. They are not, but because they think differently. The admiral stood and faced the others. His decision was already made. We have encountered many species in our expansion. All followed predictable patterns of development. All could be understood and controlled. He gestured to the images of the human ship. These humans are unpredictable. They build redundancies we would consider wasteful. They prepare for disaster in ways we find primitive. What do you recommend? Asked the Prime Leader. Krizex's expression hardened. Containment. Then elimination. Humans must not be allowed to spread further into space. Their unpredictability makes them too dangerous. The council chamber filled with murmurs of agreement. Prepare the battle fleet, ordered the Prime Leader. The human threat must be addressed now, before they discover our existence. Little did they know that their scan had already revealed their existence to humanity, and the humans were preparing too. 2 weeks passed quietly aboard the U.S. Valiant. Earth Command had reviewed Captain Wright's report about the alien encounter, but offered little guidance. Stay alert and continue your patrol, was all they said. Wright sat in his office reviewing crew reports when the alarm sounded. Captain to the bridge. Lieutenant Martinez's voice came through the speaker. Emergency situation. Wright rushed to the bridge. The crew was already at high alert. "What's happening?" he asked as he took his seat. "Distress call from Outpost Horizon," Martinez explained. "The research station is under attack." Communications Officer Patel played the message. A scared voice spoke through static. "Unknown vessels firing on us. We need immediate assistance." They came without warning. Wright didn't hesitate. "Set course for Outpost Horizon. Maximum speed. Alert all crew to battle stations." The Valiant's engines roared to life. The massive battleship turned and accelerated toward the distant research station. "Time to arrival?" Wright asked. 40 minutes at emergency speed," Martinez replied. Wright nodded. "Prepare all weapons. I want full combat readiness when we arrive." Throughout the ship, crew members rushed to their stations. In the weapons control room, Tactical Officer Nathan Rodriguez checked the missile systems and energy cannons. In engineering, Diane Powell pushed the engines beyond their normal limits. "What do we know about these attackers?" Wright asked. "Nothing confirmed," Martinez said. "But based on the partial sensor data from Horizon, they matched the design of the ship that scanned us." Wright's face grew grim. "So they've returned." Exactly 40 minutes later, the Valiant dropped out of high speed near Outpost Horizon. The scene was chaotic. The research station, once a gleaming facility built into a small asteroid, now showed major damage. Parts of it were exposed to space, and surrounding it were 3 alien vessels. They were larger than the scout ship they had encountered before, with obvious weapon ports along their sleek hulls. "Life signs on the station?" Wright asked quickly. Science Officer Lawson scanned the outpost. "Faint readings. Some survivors in the central section where emergency shields are still functioning." "The alien ships are turning toward us," Martinez reported. "They're charging weapons." "Open a channel," Wright ordered. Patel worked at his console. "Channel open, sir." "This is Captain Samuel Wright of the Earth vessel U.S. Valiant. Cease your attack on our outpost immediately." The main screen flickered, and an alien face appeared. It had scaled skin, large eyes, and a crest of spines on its head. "Human vessel," the alien spoke in slightly accented English. "I am Fleet Commander Virzak of the Selrathi Dominion. Your presence in this space is an unacceptable threat to galactic stability. Surrender your vessel immediately or be destroyed." Wright's expression didn't change. "We will not surrender. Withdraw your forces now. Your species designs for war," Virzak said coldly. "Our scans revealed your true nature. The Selrathi will not allow such a dangerous species to expand further." The transmission ended abruptly. "They're moving into attack formation," Rodriguez reported. "Weapons fully charged." Wright turned to communications specialist Lisa Baker at the secondary comm station. "Send an emergency message to Earth Command. Include all data on these Selrathi ships." Baker worked quickly. "Message encoded and sent, Captain." "Sir, they're jamming our communications now," Patel reported. "Shields at maximum," Martinez said. "All weapons ready." Wright looked at the 3 alien warships on the screen. The Valiant was outnumbered and probably outgunned, but he remembered how the aliens had fled after scanning them. They feared something about humans. It was time to show them why. "Target the lead vessel," Wright ordered calmly. "Fire when ready." The Valiant's main cannons charge, glowing with energy. The first major battle between humans and aliens was about to begin. The Valiant fired first. Bright beams of energy shot from its main cannons and struck the lead Selrathi ship. The alien vessel shuddered, but its shields held. "Direct hit," Rodriguez reported. "Their shields are strong, but we caused some damage." All 3 Selrathi ships returned fire. The space around the Valiant lit up with energy blasts. The human battleship shook as the shots hit its shields. "Shield strength at 82%, Martinez called out. "They pack a punch, Captain." Wright nodded calmly. "Evasive pattern Delta. Let's not make it easy for them." Despite its large size, the Valiant moved with surprising speed. It rolled and turned, avoiding many of the alien shots. On the Tselarathi command ship, Fleet Commander Virzak watched in surprise. "How can a vessel that size move like that?" he demanded. "Their maneuverability should be impossible." His tactical officer looked equally confused. "They're using thruster configurations we didn't anticipate. Their engines are operating beyond normal stress tolerances." Back on the Valiant, Engineer Powell worked frantically in the engine room as warning lights flashed around her. "The engines are overheating," she told her team. "Rear out coolant from the secondary systems. We need to keep them running at full power." A young engineer looked worried. "That's against safety protocols." Powell gave him a stern look. "This is battle, son. Protocols take a back seat to survival." On the bridge, Rodriguez implemented a new firing pattern. Targeting their weapons arrays specifically, he explained as he worked. Standard military doctrine would target their engines or command center, so they might not expect this approach. The Valiant's weapons fired in irregular bursts, sometimes rapid, sometimes delayed. The unexpected pattern made it difficult for the Tselarathi ships to predict where to strengthen their shields. "Sir, our starboard shield is failing," Martins warned as another hit rocked the ship. "Redirect power from non-essential systems," Wright ordered without hesitation. The lights on the bridge dimmed as power was diverted to the shields. Emergency lighting came on, casting everything in a red glow. The battle continued. The Valiant danced around the three Tselarathi ships, using the damaged research station for partial cover. The human vessel took hits but kept fighting. A massive blast rocked the Valiant, throwing crew members from their seats. "Hull breach on Deck 6. Someone shouted. Emergency bulkheads activated. In the medical bay, Dr. Catherine Wells felt the ship shake. A moment later, injured crew members began arriving. "Burns, fractures, and radiation exposure," she said to her medical team. "Start triage. Most critical cases first." Despite the mounting injuries, no one panicked. The crew had trained for this. On the Tselarathi ships, confusion was growing. "Their vessel has taken significant damage," an officer reported to Virzak. "Yet their weapons and propulsion remain at full capacity." "How?" Virzak demanded. "They have redundant systems we didn't detect. When one system fails, another takes over." Virzak studied the battle displays. "Their attack pattern makes no sense. There's no logic to it." His tactical officer looked troubled. "I believe they're adapting to our responses. Each time we adjust our shields, they change their attack to compensate." Meanwhile, Rodriguez noticed something important. "Captain, their shields flicker when they fire their main weapons." Wright saw the opportunity. "Time our shots to hit precisely when they fire." The next time, the lead Tselarathi ship prepared to fire. The Valiant launched a full salvo of missiles. The timing was perfect. The missiles struck just as the alien shields weakened. The Tselarathi vessel shuddered as explosions rippled across its hull. "Their main weapon array is disabled," Rodriguez reported with satisfaction. For the first time, Wright allowed himself a small smile. One enemy ship was partially disabled, but the Valiant had taken heavy damage too. Warning lights flashed across every console on the bridge. "We can't take much more of this," Martins said quietly. Wright nodded. "We don't need to win. We just need to survive until help arrives." The battle was far from over, but humans had proven they wouldn't be easy prey for the Tselarathi. The battle had raged for almost an hour. The Valiant was badly damaged. Fires burned on 3 decks. The main power system was failing. Yet the human crew fought on. "Weapons down to 40% capacity," Rodriguez reported. His face was streaked with sweat and blood from a cut on his forehead. "Missile bays 1 and 2 are empty." Captain Wright nodded. He looked around his damaged ridge. Several stations were dark. Smoke filled the air despite the air filters working overtime. "Status of the Tselarathi ships?" he asked. "1 disabled but still operational. The other 2 have damage but are still fighting at near full capacity. Martines answered. She worked at a backup console after her main station exploded 20 minutes earlier. A new explosion rocked the Valiant. The lights went out completely, then emergency power came on. Main reactor is offline. Powell's voice came through a damaged speaker, switching to backup power cells. Wright knew that backup power cells would only last about 30 minutes at combat levels. They needed to do something different. Life support is failing on decks 4 through 7, a crew member reported. In a narrow maintenance tunnel below Deck 4, junior engineer Patrick Dawson crawled through smoke and sparks. The heat was almost unbearable. His hands were burned and bleeding, but he kept moving. Almost there, he muttered to himself. He reached the manual override for the life support system. The electronic controls were fried, but the mechanical backup could still work. Dawson pulled the emergency handle with all his strength. The old-fashioned mechanical system engaged with a loud clank. Air began flowing again in the endangered decks. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Martinez was reviewing sensor data when she noticed something unusual. "Captain," she called out, "I've been analyzing the Selrethi responses. They seem sensitive to certain light frequencies. Every time our damaged port thruster flares with that blue-green light, their ships adjust position." Wright thought quickly. "Can we use that?" "Maybe," Martines said. "If we modulate our remaining weapons to pulse at that frequency, it might disrupt their sensors or even their crew." "Do it," Wright ordered. Rodriguez and Martinez worked together to adjust the weapons. It was an untested theory, but they had nothing to lose. In another part of the ship, Security Chief Kevin Morris led a team through smoke-filled corridors. Sensors had detected a breach in the outer hull. The Selrethi had sent boarding parties. "Remember, we don't know their capabilities," Morris told his security team. "Use short bursts, aim for center mass, and stay in groups." They moved cautiously through the damaged section. Suddenly, 3 tall figures emerged from the smoke ahead. Their scaled skin and crested heads identified them as Selrethi. The aliens raised strange weapons, but the humans fired first. 2 Selrethi fell immediately. The third retreated behind cover. "They're not wearing much armor," a security officer noted. "They didn't expect to need it." Morris nodded. They thought their technology would protect them. They were wrong. The fighting continued throughout the ship. More Selrethi boarding parties breached different sections, but each time they were met with fierce resistance. On the bridge, Wright received reports of the boarding attempts. "They're trying to take the ship," he said grimly. "They want our technology." Just then, Rodriguez called out, "Captain, the weapon modifications are ready." "Fire at the lead ship," Wright ordered. The Valiant's remaining energy weapons fired. The beams pulsed with the special blue-green frequency Martinez had identified. When they hit the Selrethi ship, something unexpected happened. The alien vessel's shields flickered wildly, then failed completely. "Direct hit," Rodriguez shouted in surprise. "Their shields are down. All remaining weapons, fire on that ship," Wright commanded. The Valiant unleashed everything it had left. Missiles and energy beams struck the unprotected Selrethi vessel. Explosions blossomed across its hull. On the alien ship, the crew was in chaos. The strange pulsing light had done more than disable their shields. It caused painful disorientation among the crew. "What is this?" Fleet Commander Verzak demanded as he shielded his sensitive eyes. "How did they discover our physiological weakness so quickly?" His officers had no answer. They had never encountered a species that could adapt so rapidly during battle. The damaged Selrethi ship began to drift, its main systems failing. For a moment, it seemed the tide of battle might be turning. Then a massive explosion tore through the Valiant's lower decks. The explosion ripped through the Valiant's lower decks. Captain Wright grabbed his chair to stay upright as the ship shuddered violently. "Damage report," he shouted over the noise of alarms. "Engineering took a direct hit," someone responded. "We've lost contact with Powell and her team." Wright felt a moment of dread. Without the engineering team, the ship's remaining systems would fail soon. "Sir," Rodriguez called out suddenly, new contacts appearing. Wright looked at the damaged main screen. His heart sank. More Selrathi ships. That would be the end. But then Martinez let out a cheer. "They're ours. The U.S. Dauntless and U.S. Intrepid." Earth Command sent help. 2 sleek human battleships dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the battle. They were smaller than the Valiant, but newer and heavily armed. A voice came through the crackling communication system. "This is Admiral Joseph Winters aboard the Dauntless. Looks like you could use some help, Captain Wright." Wright couldn't help but smile despite the dire situation. "Your timing is excellent, Admiral." "We received your communications officer's warning," Winters replied. "Been pushing our engines to get here. Now let's show these aliens what happens when they attack Earth installations." The 2 fresh human vessels moved immediately into attack positions. They had already reviewed the data from the Valiant's earlier transmission and knew about the Selrathi weaknesses. "All ships implement frequency modulation as specified in the Valiant's data," Winters commanded. "Target the operational enemy vessels first." The Dauntless and Intrepid fired their weapons, already modified to use the blue-green frequency the Valiant had discovered. The effect on the Selrathi ships was immediate. Their shields flickered and failed. The remaining 2 operational Selrathi vessels tried to regroup, but they were caught by surprise. They had expected to finish off the damaged Valiant, not face fresh human reinforcements. "The alien ships are trying to retreat," Rodriguez reported on the Valiant. "Not this time," Wright said. "Can we still move?" Martinez checked the systems. Maneuvering thrusters are still online. Not much else. "Position us to block their escape route," Wright ordered. "We'll be the anvil to the Admiral's hammer." Despite its heavy damage, the Valiant slowly moved to cut off one escape path. The Dauntless and Intrepid closed in from the other directions. Admiral Winters coordinated a brilliant attack pattern. The 2 fresh ships moved in perfect sync, catching the Selrathi vessels in crossfire. "Sir, we've got partial power back in engineering," a crew member reported to Wright. "Powell is alive. She's rerouted emergency power to weapons. Tell her she's getting a medal when we get home," Wright said with relief. "Fire everything we've got left when the Admiral gives the signal." On the main Selrathi vessel, Fleet Commander Verzak realized they had lost. How did they adapt so quickly? How did their reinforcements already know our weaknesses? "They must have transmitted their battle data before we jammed their communications," his officer replied. "They shared knowledge in real time." Verzak looked at the approaching human ships with new understanding. "Begin preparations to scuttle the ship. The Dominion cannot allow our technology to fall into their hands." But before the self-destruct sequence could be initiated, coordinated fire from all 3 human vessels struck the Selrathi command ship. Its engines died. Its weapons went silent. "The lead Selrathi ship is disabled," Admiral Winters announced to all human vessels. "The other is attempting to escape." The Intrepid pursued the fleeing alien ship, while the Dauntless moved alongside the disabled Selrathi command vessel. "Prepare boarding parties," Winters ordered. "I want prisoners and their computer systems." On the Valiant, the crew cheered despite their injuries and the damage to their ship. They had held out long enough for help to arrive. Wright sat heavily in his command chair. The bridge was in ruins around him. Many good people had died today, but they had fought against impossible odds and survived. "Sir," Martinez said quietly, "the Selrathi commander is hailing us specifically." Wright nodded. "Put him through." The damaged screen flickered, showing the face of Fleet Commander Verzak. The alien looked beaten, but still dignified. "You fight like no species we have encountered," Verzak said simply. "We were wrong to underestimate you." Wright stared back at the alien who had tried to destroy his ship and kill his crew. "Remember that lesson when you meet us again." The transmission ended as boarding parties from the Dauntless secured the alien vessel. The battle was over. Humanity had won its first interstellar war. 3 days after the battle, the U.S. Valiant drifted in space near Outpost Horizon. Emergency repair teams from the Dauntless and Intrepid worked around the clock to fix the most critical damage. The research station itself was also being repaired, with survivors helping where they could. In a makeshift meeting room on the Valiant, Captain Wright sat across from Fleet Commander Virzak. Admiral Winters was also present, along with Science Officer Lawson and 2 armed guards. The Xel'Rathi commander was not restrained, but his weapons and communication devices had been removed. "Let's be direct," Admiral Winters said. "Why did you attack our outpost and ship?" Virzak's large eyes studied each human before he answered. "The Xel'Rathi Dominion has ruled our region of space for over 2,000 human years. We have encountered 12 other intelligent species during our expansion. All now serve the Dominion." "You conquered them," Wright said. "It wasn't a question." "We brought them order and efficiency," Virzak corrected. "The Xel'Rathi way is superior. Our technology is built on perfect design. No waste, no redundancy, only what is necessary." Lawson leaned forward. "And then you found us." Virzak's crest of spines flattened slightly in what the humans had learned was a sign of discomfort. "The scout ship's scan of your vessel revealed something disturbing," the alien admitted. "Your technology is less advanced than ours in many ways. Yet your ship design showed thinking we had never encountered." "What specifically concerned you?" Winters asked. "Everything," Virzak said simply. "Your backup systems, your manual controls, your compartmentalized design, the way you prepare for catastrophic failure and still function." He gestured around at the damaged ship. "This vessel should not be operational after what it endured, yet here we sit." Wright understood now. "You saw how we build for war. No species we've encountered designs this way." Virzak continued. "The Xel'Rathi build for perfection. We assume our systems will work as designed. When they fail, we replace them. But humans assume things will go wrong," Lawson added. "We build in backups and workarounds." "Yes," Virzak said. "It suggested a mentality we found threatening. A species that expects disaster, that plans for worst-case scenarios, that thrives in chaos." His voice lowered. "The High Command decided your expansion must be stopped before you grew stronger." Winters smiled without humor. "So you attacked, and discovered those backups and workarounds aren't just theoretical." Virzak's posture showed resignation. "We did not understand. The scan showed your technology, but not your adaptability. When your weapons should have failed, you found new ways to fire them. When your systems were damaged, you operated them manually. When we boarded your ship, your crew fought with simple projectile weapons when needed." The room was quiet for a moment. Then Lawson spoke. "How large is the Xel'Rathi Dominion?" Virzak seemed to consider whether to answer, then appeared to decide there was no point in hiding the information. "Our territory spans what you would call 120 light-years. We control approximately 400 star systems. The 12 subject species each occupy between 3 and 20 systems." The humans exchanged glances. The Xel'Rathi Empire was vast compared to human-controlled space. "And these subject species," Wright asked, "do they serve willingly?" "They serve," Virzak said, avoiding the question. "They provide resources, labor, and some specialized skills. In return, they receive Xel'Rathi protection and technology." "Slaves," Winters said flatly. "Partners," Virzak insisted, "though they are not permitted military vessels or independent space travel. For their own safety." Wright could see the bigger picture now. "Your scan wasn't just about our ship. You were assessing Earth as a potential conquest." For the first time, Virzak showed what might have been embarrassment. "Yes, based on your technology level, you should have been easy to subjugate." His crest rose slightly. "We were wrong." Lawson was taking notes. "What can you tell us about these other species? Would they welcome freedom from Xel'Rathi control?" Virzak's eyes narrowed. That would be unwise to pursue. Admiral Winters stood up. Thank you for your honesty, Commander. You've given us much to consider. He looked at the guards. Please escort our guest back to the secure quarters. After the Tselrathi left, the humans looked at each other. We need to inform Earth Command immediately, Winters said. The threat is far bigger than we realized. Wright nodded. And potential allies might be out there too. 6 months passed since the battle near Outpost Horizon. The U.S. Valiant floated in orbit around a neutral space station at the edge of human territory. The ship looked different now. Its hull was repaired and reinforced. New weapon systems were added. It was stronger than before. On the bridge, Captain Wright adjusted his formal uniform as he prepared to welcome important guests. The ship had been chosen as the meeting place for a historic event. Nervous? Lieutenant Martinez asked as she approached. She too wore a formal uniform with new medals pinned to it. A little, Wright admitted. It's not every day humans host their first interspecies peace talks. The communication system chimed. Sir, the Tselrathi delegation has docked, Paddle reported, and representatives from the Kelveri and Juxton have arrived as well. Wright nodded. The Kelveri and Juxton were two of the species previously controlled by the Tselrathi. They had reached out to humans after news of the battle spread. Let's go greet our guests, Wright said to Martinez. In the large conference room, 3 different alien groups waited. The Tselrathi delegation was led by a senior diplomat, not the military leaders who had started the conflict. They stood tall and proud, but less confident than before. The Kelveri were shorter aliens with blue skin and 4 arms. They had been one of the first species conquered by the Tselrathi centuries ago. The Juxton were insect-like beings with compound eyes and metallic green exoskeletons. Admiral Winters was already there, representing Earth Command. He nodded to Wright as he entered. Captain Wright, Winters said formally. May I present High Council Member Trelvik of the Tselrathi Dominion, First Speaker Zola of the Kelvari Worlds, and Hive Coordinator Chict of the Juxton Collective. Wright greeted each delegate with respect. Welcome aboard the Valiant. The Tselrathi representative, Trelvik, looked around the ship with barely hidden curiosity. Your vessel has been improved since our last encounter. We learn and adapt, Wright said simply. The meeting began with formal statements from each group. The Tselrathi, still recovering from their defeat, agreed to a peace treaty with humans. They would recognize human territory and allow free passage through certain trade routes. The Kelveri and Juxton had more to say. After seeing humans defeat their oppressors, they wanted alliances. For centuries, we served the Tselrathi, Zola of the Kelveri said. We believed their way was superior because they told us so. Now we see different paths are possible. Chict of the Juxton clicked his mandibles in agreement. The Dominion claimed perfect efficiency was the only way. Humans proved that adaptability and resilience matter more. As the talks continued, Wright stepped away briefly. He found Science Officer Lawson analyzing data in a corner. Learning a lot? Wright asked. Lawson nodded enthusiastically. More than I could have imagined. These species have technologies and sciences we've never considered. Different approaches to everything. And they're just as interested in our ways, Wright observed. Especially our redundant systems. That scan changed everything, Lawson said. The Tselrathi thought they found weakness in our design philosophy. Instead, they discovered the very thing that defeated them. Later that day, the formal agreements were signed. Peace with the Tselrathi. Alliances with the Kelveri and Juxton. The start of a new interstellar community. After the delegates departed, Wright stood at the main viewport, looking out at the stars. Martinez joined him. What are you thinking about, Captain? She asked. How one small event can change history, he replied. If they hadn't scanned us that day, we might never have known about the Tselrathi until they arrived with an invasion fleet. Martinez smiled. And now 3 species are working together because of what happened. With more to come, Wright added. 5 other former Xelarathi subject species have requested meetings with Earth representatives. The Valiant's new orders had arrived that morning. The ship and its crew would lead a diplomatic mission to meet these potential allies. They would be the face of humanity to the stars. "We're heading into unknown territory," Wright said. "New species, new challenges, new threats. But we'll be ready," Martins replied confidently. "We've proven that already." Wright nodded as he looked at his repaired and improved ship. The Telarathi had scanned a human battleship and instantly regretted it. That one action had revealed humanity to the galaxy and changed the course of history forever. The stars waited, and humanity was ready to meet them.